Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. The White Sox are changing their ways. Oh my God, a Wander update and sister cities. Who are you going to root for? Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. My name is Jimmy. I'm sitting here with Jake. Trevor Plouffe is joining us from California wearing his Forgotten Rotten jersey. Looks awesome, nice and bright yellow. BBD behind the dish, producing away. It's brought to you by SeatGeek. And if you use code TALKIN when you go there, they got a hookup for you. You get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code TALKIN, TALKIN. And you just click the link in the description. You download the app. You already have the app. You've used it before. You create a new account. And you get the $20 off. You go see something, and you know that the seats you got are a good deal, unless you foolishly clicked a red bubble and purchased a bad deal. At that point, it's on you, but enjoy the discount nonetheless. Jake, how are you doing?
James, Davis, Trevor, everyone tuning in. How are we? Almost through the dog days. It's August 23rd. I mean, Labor Day's coming up. I had a nice moment this morning. I went past my train exit, and I was a little flashback to the Bronx days. I used to get on the wrong train, I'd say, twice a month. This was just the right train, just didn't look up for my exit. But
I haven't done that in so long. You just scared me.
Now that we're in the big city, I just got off, came back. It was clean. Like when I did that in the Bronx, I lost an hour 15.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty good today. And I'm excited we got the full band going, and that yellow on Trevor does do something, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Trev, how are you?
Is that a segue to ask me how I'm doing? Thanks, James. You're always the nicest. When you come back on the show, I feel like there's some politeness. When you're not on the show, I feel like it's not very polite. I'm looking at the 2021 Chicago White Sox baseball reference page. It's beautiful. It is an incredible team, and we're not going to be talking about that incredible team very much today. I'm excited to talk about these topics. Well, a couple of them. One's not a very exciting topic, but this White Sox one, this one that it's up right now, I think we can get into this because this is a lot of fun, and I think there's some big changes obviously coming to the White Sox org. James, can't wait to hear your thoughts. How you been, big guy?
I'm good. I had a nice bike ride, my electric bike, to the train station because I'm not pedaling and then I'm going to be sweaty on the train, nor paying for parking. So I have an electric bike. I wear a helmet.
Motorcycle.
Yeah, it's a motorcycle with wheels. 20 miles per hour, whole way, 7 minutes to the train. One time someone said, "What's up, John Boy?" outside their car, and I was like a little embarrassed, wearing like a bike helmet on my electric bike, just kind of cruising around with a backpack
that's
on.
not embarrassing.
No, it's not. But it was nice. But they had done like a cleanup of the leaves for the first time. So there were just piles. I ride through a beautiful park, piles of fallen leaves, which is fall. Now, I haven't looked at the weather. There's probably a week of 90 degrees coming. That's going to piss me right off. But in the mornings, it's been 60, breezy, and leaves are falling. And I am like so excited when I do that. So that's my update.
Okay.
Now for the bad news. It's not a topic really. It's just an update for everyone that wants to be in the know. Wander Franco investigation has furthered a little bit. They put him on restrictive leave, which is basically like, hold up, we got to figure some shit out. You're not in trouble yet. We haven't found anything, but allow us to look into this. And Wander allowed them and said, sure, go ahead. Then with that, The Athletic had a good article that was like, I think it was Evan Drellich, was like, if he goes on administrative leave next, that means that they've found some info they don't like, some bad news, and they're going to go look out for it. That just happened. So they put Wander Franco on administrative leave on Tuesday, yesterday, as law enforcement in the DR investigate the allegations and MLB investigate the allegations. There's 2 allegations, one from social media, and then one that was already in the system, like the court of law or whatever, in the DR from another underage girl. There's a third where he is suing an underage girl for something. We don't know. But that's what the district attorney, I believe, of the DR came out and let everyone know, which was like, ooh. Administrative leave, when Trevor Bauer was on this, every single Friday, they had to say, we're renewing it. We're renewing it. It was a week-by-week thing. I think they've realized how ridiculous that was and just said until further notice. And I don't know if that means the level of investigation is different or they're just changing the way they're doing shit to be like, listen, we don't want to have to update you every Friday that we're renewing the administrative leave. It's just until further notice, like a change in policy about that. Or this is worse. I don't know. But it seems like a very big deal. Obviously, if it's true, it's a huge deal. It's terrible. And it's also terrible on a lot of fronts. And then there's the baseball front, like what a wasted talent. Like what a waste. So we still don't really know the final, but it is leaning more towards there's evidence and this is something, not nothing.
Yeah, I think for like the baseball standpoint, I can speak from that as, a teammate of Wander's in the Rays organization. All you can hope for is that this just isn't true. I mean, that's like the best case scenario for everybody involved. Maybe not Wander, since he's obviously kind of, the allegations sometimes are just as damning. But that's the best case scenario. That just isn't true, and it comes back, and he's back on your team, and nobody was hurt in this situation. That's yet to be seen. I mean, you said it when Drellich says if you get put on administrative leave, usually that means there's some evidence, surrounding the case, and maybe it's progressed forward a little bit. So that's a little bit, obviously concerning if you're one of his teammates. But I think, as far as the Rays themselves, it's all about, you almost have to just put it out of sight, out of mind, because he's not there. You don't really want to be focusing on this, and you have to move forward. I mean, we're, like you just said, Jake, August 23rd. This is crunch time. In a week, we're in September. September baseball is, the Rays are most likely going to be in the playoffs, but they still have some work to do. You have to finish off the season. They've dealt with some really crazy injuries. Now, this obviously is a ton of turmoil, or it could be in the clubhouse. And I think that's probably how you have to approach it. I've never been a part of something like this. Never been on a team where something like this happens. I've been on a team with PEDs and other stuff that would make guys leave the team. And that's kind of what you have to do. You try to support them as best you can, but in this situation, it's very difficult. I don't know what you say to Wander if you're a teammate, without knowing any of the facts. And I'm sure some of these guys have talked to him about it, but I think mostly you just kind of say, look, man, like, you got to deal with your stuff. We're going this way.
Yeah, it feels we're going to find out a lot more. And you end up saying kind of corny stuff. And like, I don't know. I was about to say where there's smoke, there's fire. And we just don't know how much of a fire yet. Right. Like this could be all time historic bad. And there's, been some clues towards that. We don't know. It looks really bad that you're, I mean, Trev, you went the teammate angle. Like, yeah, I mean, I mean, you almost have to like leave him on an island and like, hope there's a day that you can have a civil convo with them. But, we've seen some bad stuff in the past. And I know, what was it? The Pirates closer, Felipe Vasquez. He had some stuff that he got sent to jail for 2 to 4 years, but that was in the States. So there's like a whole DR side to this that I was talking to our guy, Joe's McFly, that you people, if you don't know Joe's by now, you should. He's awesome human, Yankee stuff, our warehouse stuff, just John Boy Media as a whole. And he was, we were talking a little bit about the DR culture, and like, it's parts of it are very different down there and in different parts of the world in general. Like Japan, I think the age of consent is like 13 or something like that. And so there's like, we have a very American scope on this. And I think the scope is kind of right for a lot of the stuff that we have laid out there. And then it's finding out what really happened. Because, Jim, I think you alluded to it a little bit, but like when this first broke and we first had the girl on Instagram, I think it's already come out now that she's over 18 and she has a kid and stuff, or that's...
It's not official.
It's not official, but again, like that's what we're still sifting through. That we don't.
Well, but that was hearsay. But then the Attorney General of the Dominican Republic said there is a, and this was before those Instagram videos came out,
right?
That there was a claim again from a young underage girl for the same thing.
And he had a claim against another girl, and there's a whole nother side to this that the DR. I don't know. Like this could still go a million different directions. But the current next step that we have, putting him on the commissioner list, like you said, it means that they have some sort of information, whether that's who knows where that's from. But the fact that it's gotten there, it's it's crazy, and it's currently teeing up to be one of the like crazier what ifs in sports or franchise history. And there's a baseball side of this that is fascinating when you tie it into the Rays, and there's always rumors about, new stadiums are moving. This is the first guy that they really locked into. Like, he's going to be our dude. And now to have this happen and the financials of it all, like, there's so many ways that this can still go. And you hope that Wander Franco doesn't turn out he's one of the kind of all-time bad guys, but we still don't know.
Don't know. Just to protect Japan a little bit, they have like an old law that says 13, but they have updated laws that say 18. It's like they're like instead of erasing the old one, they kind of like built on top. Like
Yeah, I think it's like parental rules and stuff. Like technically in the U.S., some state. Yeah,
there's some countries in Africa that's pretty like
I do want to say that Wander
Angola,
went on
12.
Wander went on to his IG live and denied all of this. So I think that's important to say. Like,
that was before it was before it was public. That was before the game. So it was just kind of on the underbelly of it. And then Jose Siri was in the background. Siri was in the background of that, dancing and saying like, "People want that money," and like they were laughing. There's a lot of smoke there, so we'll see. The good news is you never know when you're going to get your opportunity. And Basabe, fun name. If you have a West Indies accent, I think it would be really fun.
Oslavis Basabe.
Oslavis Basabe. Like, think of Darren Sammy saying that. Basabe. Really fun. He's he's taking this and running with it. In his last series, he was nuts. He was a Rays trade for Nathaniel Lowe. Mm-hmm. Just one of those, when you make a trade and you're like, how about that 18-year-old shortstop? He's probably an athlete, or he's probably maybe 20 at the time. So, Basabe.
We want to talk about some of the Hector Gomez tweets.
Hector Gomez, he does sometimes have really good info in the DR, very connected, and he said that he's heard he'll never play again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of sifting through these. I follow him, so I get little snippets here and there as I'm perusing X. It's not Twitter anymore. People know that, but yeah, I mean, some of those, like you just said, he said an insider close to the case says he doesn't think Wander will ever play again due to what they've been finding in some of these investigations. Which is, I think we're trying to present all of the information that's out there, and just, and I think we need to continuously say, like, we don't know what's going on. We're just trying to sift through the information and let everyone kind of be updated on it. But this is obviously a very serious, it's a big deal, man. There's so many different implications here. Obviously you just hope it isn't true.
Yeah. And hope's the word there, because I think if there was Vegas odds on it, which they don't do that, and
they don't do that.
It's good. But I think if any of us had to place a bet right now, it'd be like, I don't think I'd ever see Wander Franco on an MLB field again. And again, there's a lot of guessing there, so that's where we just don't. But
damn, he was 19, Basabe, when they traded for him.
Yeah, and that's one of those. So the baseball side of it, we could do a late night Trev show on like the potential implications for the Tampa Bay Rays as a franchise. I think for right now, you mentioned our guy Basabe. who was in that deal and very Rays and like, wait, did the Rays lose a trade? Like Nate Lowe, Nathaniel, excuse me. He's been awesome. Sabe jumps in. He hits a grand slam last night in his 8th game ever played. He's a real prospect of sorts. So now he's going to jump in to replace Wander's baseball stuff. Defensively, unreal. The top of that lineup and how electric he can be. And yeah, you end up again in corny sports stuff. Like, does this galvanize the Rays? I think when Trev, we talked about it briefly. If there's a franchise whose mentality seems like they're going to be okay getting through this, it's the Rays, who have always been like, okay, who's the next body? Like, what can you do? What is your skill set? Let's do it. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to be so interesting as we approach the postseason and see where the Rays land, and will them and the Orioles be a chase down the finish, or how does this Rays season wind up? Because since the electric early season, the Rays, they've been good, but they haven't been excelling. That, I don't know, man.
Man, the Rangers got Nathaniel Lowe, and then 2 other prospects from the Rays. Both of those guys are in indie ball now. In the crapshoot prospect throw-in.
Well, Basabe's been a guy for a while. He's like a nerdy guy I've known since out of the park baseball. So, again, prospects can come and go, but
22 years old. From Venezuela. Venezuela's got a lot of...
Is Venezuela like a big up-and-coming baseball country?
Maybe.
What?
I know it's been there, but like...
It's been a huge baseball
But
country.
I feel like people view it on a different tier than Cuba or the DR or something like that. Like, Venezuela has been around, but it's like coming now.
I don't know, man. I feel like there's a ton of Venezuelans in the big leagues, and I would almost put Venezuela, Dominican, and then Cuba. Like, there hasn't been in years past a ton of Cubans to come over. Now it's obviously changing, different rules, but...
Well, hold up.
Man.
How many Venezuelans do you think debuted this year?
Hold up.
Debuted? I have no idea.
Let's have a guess. Debuted?
Yeah.
I mean, there was 2 last night, right?
How many
Or 1
people
last
debut in a given MLB season?
Now we're talking.
That's where my head's at. I have no idea.
Well, Trev, I guess I'm just a little surprised. While you get your number, I'm just a little surprised because, a GM spot has come open. You've talked about your GM ways, and you always say Cuba and Japan, so Venezuela's out.
No, I don't even have Japan on my
Okay,
dream
they're
roster.
mine.
Yeah, you can have
That's
them. I
mine.
told you what mine is. I've updated it recently, James. I don't know if you heard this. I need my Cuban ball players.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. I need 2 veterans, preferably a pitcher and a hitter, but I would go 2 hitters rather than 2 pitchers. Don't need the veteran. They don't really police the clubhouse enough. I need 2 fast guys who I can just throw out there and they cause havoc on the base pass. And then Beavers and I came up with that I need a Jewish ball player on a team. So Zach Geloff is coming on our team.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, where do like Catholics? You're not gonna have any Catholics?
They're the
By
Judaism is
happenstance,
the
they'll
only
end up with
religion
them.
that I require on my team, at least one.
Crazy. 195
Yeah.
players have. Oh, actually, I think 196 now. 195 before yesterday debuted.
How many of those are Venezuelan?
Yes.
35.
No.
12.
Yeah. Some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And the rest are, what's the highest? Obviously American, I would assume.
Yeah. Let me
It's an interesting topic, I guess.
Throwback Talking Baseball used to be a little 1-minute segment for whoever made their debut. Missed that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out how to get to these pages. Like if I go Jeter and I go born, they do New Jersey, but I don't want New Jersey born. I want U.S. born. You know?
We're
By
looking just
country. I
country.
found it.
By country.
How many people? 129?
Oh my God, there's been a player that was born in Afghanistan. I'm gonna open up Mexico. I think they might have a big one. What do you think the top 5 debuting countries this year has been? Mexico, Puerto Rico.
I guess USA,
DR.
Yeah.
USA, DR.
They don't fucking. They don't have United States. You have to go by state. So U.S. is out.
Eddie Julian. Jim's gonna crunch the numbers. Let's start. Does anyone have anything else on Wander? I mean, I think we wanted to address it because a lot of people have been asking about it. There's still a lot we're going to figure out along the way, and as we do, we'll let you know. But
only one player has debuted from Mexico, so they're out. But congrats to Cesar Salazar.
Hey, let's talk some White Sox because it's funny when we plan out these midweek episodes. Jim is going to get the numbers for us. As we plan out these midweek episodes, we always, it's kind of a joke like, hey, baseball moves quick. What are we going to talk about? And the Chicago White Sox changed their front office. This is brought to you by Shady Rays. Take on the sun with gear built to last. I was in the sun the past 2 weekends. I truly enjoyed that. And I was wearing my Shady Rays the whole time. And I was wearing my Shady Rays. Flex on them. Because you can get 30% off the custom Jimmy and Jake shades. We both have ours here with code JM30. Code JM. Where are my glasses? You can't see without his glasses.
His glasses. He's going to be an acrobat.
Just put my glasses on. World-class products from Shady Rays. And hey, say you're looking at us and you're like, wow, Jimmy and Jake, you guys are bugs. I just want to get Shady Rays normal, handsome, hot boy glasses. Well, they still have code Talkin going. 50% off 2+ pairs of premium polarized sunnies. So get a couple pairs with code Talkin, 50% off. Or if you want ours, the creme de la creme, 30% off Jimmy and Jake collab shades, code JM30. Click the link. Cover your eyes.
Be more hot.
Trev, you're a former AL Central man. You wanna tee this up a little bit because you were in this. You competed against these people.
Well, I mean, for people who haven't read the headline, it's right underneath me. The White Sox have fired Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams. Both have been longtime fixtures under Jerry Reinsdorf. I mean, we're going back decades with these guys that have been in the organization, that have overseen. I mean, honestly, some really high highs. Obviously, 2005, I believe they won the World Series, and now we're kind of at the lows, I would say. I mean, there's been some other lows as well in there, but I think this is a long time coming, to be honest with you. And sometimes, I feel like a lot of people are applauding this move because, of the way baseball's gone and the way hiring has gone in the front office for these different organizations that seem to be like the model organizations. There's a lot of turnover in these organizations, and you need to kind of keep refreshing your front office, and you need to make sure that the culture is right and, you're making the right moves. And when I look back now, it seems like to me, like, in the current moment, this makes so much sense. But as I've, kind of like looked back in time at some of these rosters, and obviously you guys know, like, I was like the biggest White Sox believer the last couple of years. I keep going back to like, some of the moves these guys have made as of late, they all seem like actually really good moves. Like when they traded away Chris Sale and Adam Eaton and Jose Quintana, and they brought in Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, Yoel Moncada, Michael Kopech, Dylan Cease, Eloy Jimenez. They signed Lou Bob, and like Tim Anderson was a batting champ. Like there was so much talent on this roster, and they did such a good job of bringing it in, but it just never clicked over the last couple of years. In 2021, that freaking team was nasty. They won 93 games, I believe it was. And, they had offense. Their pitching was incredible. The starting staff and their bullpen was great. They did not win in the playoffs at all that year. But the talent, and like over the last couple of years, which is really what this firing is about. It just hasn't worked, and all the bad press that has come along with Tony La Russa and all the stuff going on this year. And it's happened quickly, or I guess not quickly, over the last couple of years, but like, I don't think roster construction talent wise was the problem. It just seems like a cultural lack of leadership thing, which I got to be honest with you guys. I don't think Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams have much to do with. I don't know if you guys have a different opinion on that, but
well, attitude,
I don't know,
reflect leadership, Captain. I mean, you have a ton of talent. Part of building a clubhouse is building personalities that fit, you know? I mean, to credit
but how do you do that?
To credit the Yankees
it's really
front,
hard to do that.
I'll give you an example that is, at least you may say it's bullshit, but the players involved and the front office involved says this is why they did this. The Yankees were super stiff, super old. They missed the playoffs in 2008, and they said the clubhouse had no life. It was corporate culture, and it was bad. They went out, and they traded for Swisher to bring life, and then they said they liked Burnett for the same reason. And in 2009, both those guys started clubhouse shenanigans. They started cream pie celebrations for walk-offs. That was like every time you got a walk-off, you got a cream pie celebration. And it was CeCe came in as well. And when CeCe talked to Cash, the story is he said, "What's the clubhouse like?" And because he had heard the vibes were a little stiff. And that was some of their goals of bringing in some of these players. And they got Swisher, who was going to be first baseman, and then he moved to right field because they got to share. He's better. Now, that team had incredible talent. Incredible talent. I'm not saying that. And the White Sox has a ton of talent as well. But you do need to provide a culture. And even with Keenan Middleton saying they had no rules, like they had no identity of this is us, where people hate having to shave your face, or maybe like some of the A's back in the 70s didn't want a mustache. But a lot of times, like, you know, galvanizing a team is building this identity of, like, the Red Sox in 2004, they were the, what are they called? Dirtbags? Or what do they call themselves? The idiots? They were the idiots. That was what they called themselves. They took a shot of whiskey before games. And they said, let's all make ourselves as ugly as possible. And that was who they were. Like, if you think about teams, they do have, like, this galvanizing bonding thing. And I do think you have to get people in place that trade for players that will do that. And it seems like they haven't done that. They asked Luis Robert recently, do you consider yourself a leader? And he was like, no, honestly, no. I just am a baseball player. I don't think I'm a good leader, and I don't want to be. So, all right, fair. But you need to find something.
I don't want to, like, I feel like this is kind of a shtick, but I'm being serious when I say it this time. Looking back on some of these past rosters over the last couple of years, 2020 on, it really does seem like the leaders, the guys that have been around, the veterans on this team, are pitchers.
Well,
and pitchers just operate differently. You need a position player.
That's all the reports.
In the clubhouse.
Yeah, that was what Middleton said. He said that the pitching staff was different, and Lance Lynn agreed with that. And Keuchel came out, and he called out this club before he left. And Cueto came, and he called out this club. And then Middleton and Lynn. So you got 4 pitchers calling out the club, all agreeing that that faction was okay.
It's crazy,
Jake,
Trev.
I want to hear your thoughts.
It's crazy. I mean, there's a couple things going on here, right? And I think there's a name that has to be said. And when Jimmy said attitude reflect leadership, remember the Titans. I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf has to come into play here too, because this is the man who
does he though? Like,
yes, Trev, because everything's top down, bro. Because who did they bring in as the manager?
Okay,
Tony
hold on.
La Russa.
Let me stop here. Let me just stop you right here real quick.
Who picked him?
Real quick. Look at the Baltimore Orioles situation right now.
Right.
They have one of the most hated owners in sports.
Right.
But they have 0 clubhouse problems. So it's not, I don't think it's like,
but they brought in a new leadership
owner
team.
or something.
He brought the Angelos family. They brought in a whole new leadership team and said, all right, here you go. Let's rebuild, tear it down for a little bit. let's see in a couple years when it's good and pretty. Guess what? It's good and pretty. So in that way, the owners
now prices are going up though.
Well, their prices will have to go up if they want to re-sign a player. Wrong. But that was, at least the Angelos had the wherewithal to say, all right, I saw what Houston did. I like that. If I own a baseball team, let's fire up that plan you boys run, and it's put them currently in a good position. With the White Sox, it's interesting because we've got trails here. You know, I think Kenny Williams goes back to 92, if that's what I saw. And hey,
it worked his way up.
And in a way, that's awesome, right? Like, that's super impressive. Like, how often do we get sucked into baseball lifers on the field? Like, look at Snitker, right? Like, Snitker, I think he's worked in baseball for 114 years or something, and it's like awesome, and we celebrate that. And, you know, front office, you want to celebrate that the same way, but you're right especially with how much front offices are involved now. Like, whenever a manager comes up, we give a couple managers credit when they light the fire and they set the tone, and I gave my last award to Alex Cora because, man, what he brings to a clubhouse is something different. But other than that, like when we've done our Boone interviews this year, a lot of the questions that the angry, Judge 69XO wants us to ask is about the roster construction, and it goes to the front office, and we talk about the reliever moves, and what's coming pretty much every game. That what was tough here is the White Sox entered their window. They reset. They hit that button. You mentioned the Chris Sale trade and how big that was, and I know the Red Sox, they got their ring out of it, but there was a chance with a young Yoan Moncada and the players they got back that it was like, ooh, we might have just built something, and 21 felt like the start, right? That's why, Trev, I'm not saying this in a rude way. You picked them to win the World Series. Like, I thought they had the easiest path because it was the Central, and they would run away with it. And one of the stronger staffs we've seen, the lineup, like 1 through 8, was nasty. And then things fell apart, and you wonder if, Yoan Moncada hasn't been the same baseball player. Eloy's dealt with injuries. Lubob, this was the year that we asked him to go, and he has, but now things have fallen so much apart around it that front office was the difference one position player leader? Doesn't feel like it, right? Like, if they had just had a Carlos Santana playing first base, do we think that really would have been the difference in this franchise? I don't think so. And I don't know. I am a big advocate in sports that at some point, if things have gone stale, you got to shake it up. And the fact that, Trev, you mentioned you were on the 2021 White Sox page to start the episode. I was on the 05 page, and it's like, man, if you're still hanging on to some of that stuff, that's tough. And, I go back to the Machado Harper free agency because remember they had some quotes like they were all in on that, but then their biggest free agent contract of all time is Andrew Benintendi now with the 5 for $75. So I don't know. I don't know all the moving parts. I just know with Jerry Reinsdorf and the Chicago White Sox, I know the relationship hasn't been beautiful there. And I don't know. I think, is there any White Sox fan fighting this?
No, they're excited. They didn't know it was going to happen. Yeah. But I do think, now Rick Hahn's going on radio shows, and he's going to say stuff that he could be saying it to make it look better, or could say it because it's true. But he said that he's been trying to resign for a while. And Jerry said, well, no, I'm going to make you honor your contract and not let you work anywhere else if you resign, because he tried to resign when they hired La Russa, which came from Jerry. So, like, you kind of need to look internally there. But redo it, man. I mean, you can't have that many things come out and players talking and all of that. And a week before this news broke, the headline was, the White Sox, Jerry is investigating whether there needs to be a big change in the leadership team in the White Sox. And it's like, well, that seems like the news before the news, storm coming warning, because you're not going to openly admit you're investigating unless you're fucking, cleaning up. I think Kenny's son works there. That's odd.
I wonder if, I mean, yeah, we go back to the Machado free agency, and when they brought in John Jay, Yonder Alonso, they were trying to like make it feel like home for him. They really did try to go after Machado. He obviously ends up in San Diego. Would that have made a difference? I mean, I know people have heard me say this before, but the Twins had a leadership void, after Maurer was gone, and they get Correa to come for the 1 year. And I've told you guys this, like, if he didn't come back, like they were leaderless, and kind of like they needed someone to guide them. Chris Rose recently asked me on Baseball Today, like, the way Correa's performed, do you think the Twins will regret giving him that deal? And I said, no. Like, they want him to perform better, obviously, but he's like the guy. He's the leader. Like, people follow him. Like, he does such a good job in the clubhouse. And if you're a team that has some young guys, and then some of the older guys that don't really have that leadership trait, because it is a trait. Like, not everyone has it. Not everyone can get in front of a room and command a room. Not everyone works conventionally and can show guys a good routine. Some guys just don't have enough time in the big leagues to be a leader, or the want to be. So you need to have guys. That's why we always talk about veteran players, and some people like think it's a joke, and it's like, oh, these like whatever, man. Let's bring in the young guys. No, man. Like, it's the fucking big leagues is hard. So like, you need that good mixture. You need the young guys up there to keep the energy going. You need the veterans there, at least some good ones, to explain life in baseball and how to handle a 162 plus playoffs. Like, all of that comes into play. So yeah, when we talk about roster construction and we talk about let's get the best 26 players we can possible, most of the time that is true. But we've seen, from this White Sox roster, like, sometimes you need to give a little bit, maybe on the production side. So the mental aspect of the game is good for your squad, and the routine aspect is good for your squad, and the effort aspect is good for your squad. You need some of these guys. I mean, I just can't. I guess I missed it when I was talking about this team in 2022. I said they're gonna win the World Series and beat the Brewers. Like 2021, they won 93 games. They had this incredible pitching staff. Everyone's back. They added people. But again, now that I look at the roster, it really was it lacked a veteran presence on the position player side. A guy that could really show how things work and how you're supposed to go do day in, day out stuff in the big leagues. And it showed, man. Like, I put a lot of this on the players, because there were some guys on there that could have stepped up. Like, kind of looking at Tim Anderson, but like, maybe that's just not him. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, because Luis Robert, I almost don't hate him coming out and being like, I'm not that guy. Like,
yeah, that's up to
some guys aren't that guy.
That's building a team. You have to know.
So sometimes you have to know, and Jose Abreu was there for a long time, and a lot of these,
and he was the de facto leader. I don't know how great he was. Obviously,
well, and that's it. It comes back to, again, some generic sports stuff, but there's different ways to lead. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, Jose Abreu with his Jose Abreu looks like he could be like, if you found if this was Game of Thrones and you found a new country and he came out as the first one, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's the king. Like, and I don't know whether that's by example.
You only say Game of Thrones because of the goatee that he had.
It was sick, dude. It was cool. Badass. But like, that, and who knows? Who knows if he was a voice in the clubhouse? Who knows if it was just on the field playing high-level baseball, being the best dude out there, putting in his work regularly? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's the franchise, and when I see some of the numbers, and Dalton put together a sheet for us, Rick Hahn, 834 and 971, the Chicago White Sox are under him, with 2 playoff appearances since 2021, since 2012, which I don't know. These are the Chicago. One of those years is 2020. So in normal baseball seasons, since 2012, they made the playoffs once. Like, that's where
It's 2020, right?
Well, 2021 they made it to. So that's why I said normal playoff seasons. there's been a lot of conversation in Yankee land about what are they going to do, and that's a front office that they've got a lot of pelts on their wall from back in the day. They have some more recent pelts, and I think that conversation becomes a lot more interesting because it's who do you replace them with, and I'm in between stuff there because. Hey, maybe there is the next future guy out there that we'll be talking about in 20 years as a Dombrowski or as a Cashman or whoever it is. I don't know. When you see some of these guys' resumes on paper and, the city of Chicago, which they should be a power player in that division regularly, right? Like the Guardians are operating as the smallest market team. Kansas City, it feels like they've been rebuilding for 6 years now. At the same time, that starts pointing arrows to Jerry again when you hear about the biggest free agent contract. So, I don't know. I think White Sox fans are happy. I kind of liked Kenny Williams' presence as a dude who's been out there. He's been part of the White Sox guard for a while, but I think sometimes you got to change guards, and what the record's showing right now.
I said in 2019 that the White Sox, I remember saying that they were so cocky and they were like the loudest dugout team. And I was like, you guys better win. Otherwise, this is going to start looking bad. Started to look bad. And I think half the team was like, this stinks. Stop doing that. And the other half was like, nah, we're having fun. And it was like, well, I don't know. Seems like it was all fun. Anyway, I think we'll move Sister Cities to next episode because we ran super long on these two topics. I do have an update on a bunch of debuts for you guys, so we can give that to our favorite sponsor. Yeah,
I just want to say one more thing before we move on. We brought this up on the show before. Dodgers, White Sox share a spring training facility. We were down there in 2022 spring training.
Yep.
And looking back on it now, I think I misread the vibes of both of those. Or maybe I read them correctly, but interpreted the information the wrong way.
Okay.
Dodgers side. Everyone was happy. And like they were having fun. And Dave Roberts was like a huge presence there. And he was going around like being really kind to the players and motivating them and positive, and there was music playing, and it just seemed like Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. And then the White Sox side, which is just right 30 feet away from the Dodgers side, it was like dark and like nobody was really smiling. And like it was like there was a lot of tension. And I liked that at the time. Like, these dudes are stone cold killers. They're going to go murder everybody. I mean, they're big boys. And again, it just two polar opposite climates right next to each other. And I misinterpreted the information. That should have been a warning sign. Like, wow, like there's getting through 162 with that type of mentality is impossible. You got to have some sort of fun. And you're right. They didn't have the guy to push them in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's tough to quantify because I thought the shadow looming over the White Sox was standing next to the two Giolito brothers, like 6'7" and 6'8".
Yeah,
like that was.
Giolito's the nicest guy ever.
Lucas Giolito's too
pitcher.
tall.
Hey,
Yeah,
let's.
he's
You know
crazy.
what,
He's
Lucas?
too
It's
tall.
awesome seeing you, but no, I'm good on the picture, man. Let's. We're good. We're good. I don't know. That's tough. You know what I do know? Shaving my downstairs. I showed my biscuits this weekend at the bachelor party, and luckily I had used Manscaped.
Obviously.
It's number one in the world. Not in here. I believe that, though. Number one in the world. And, Jim, did you know this? They're bringing it up north. The Handyman, the electric face shaver for a quick and convenient way to achieve a clean, shaven look. Whether it's your neckline, give your face that smooth finish, the Handyman has you covered. And you'll get 20% off and free shipping with code TALKIN. Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Code TALKIN. Hit the refresh button with Manscaped. Click the link. Take care of your downstairs. Take care of your upstairs.
Yeah, let me ask a question to you, Trev, and answer it for you. Did you manscape after you got the call to go to the big leagues to make sure you looked good, felt good? Yes, you did.
Obviously.
Here's some numbers about debuts. There's been 208 MLB debuts this season. 208. Trivia. Guess the top 5 countries to debut players. There's some
USA.
gimmies here. USA has 165 of the 208.
USA. Okay.
Venezuela.
Venezuela's in 3rd place with 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's 2.
Yeah.
So we're going DR.
They have 25. Second place, 25. So you guys already knew those. So now it's guess the next 2.
Okay. And how many did the
Venezuela had
have?
9. Venezuela had 9. The next country
Holy
has
shit.
4.
Canada?
No, Canada only has 2. They tie.
Eddie Julian?
They tie with Panama for 5th place.
Eddie Julian and Julian Eddie have both made their debuts this
I'm
year.
trying to think of who the other Canadian would be. Freddie Freeman didn't make his debut this year. You're not Canadian, Freddie.
Probably some
Piss me
pitcher.
off.
The other Canadian is Edward Julian and Jordan Balazovic.
Oh, they're both
yeah.
from the Twins. He just got
Wow.
sent down. Shout out
Pipeline.
Jordan
Balazovic.
Yeah.
Balazovic.
Trev, does work for them. Give me Japan.
Japan! Way to go, Jake.
Yoshida, Senga,
Japan has 3. They are 5th place.
Fujinami. Yeah, I just named them, right? Senga, Yoshida, and Fujinami.
Boom. Impact players.
5th place. So you still have 4th place.
Wow. Okay, 4th.
Senga, Fujinami, and Yoshida, correct.
I think I'm gonna go with another Latin American country. And I think I'm gonna go with Curacao.
I think they would be under. I don't know how they. No.
Okay.
My info, 0 Curacao players debuted.
Okay.
Well, that's correct. 0 from.
Not
Curacao.
a bad guess, Trev.
Thanks.
Give me Puerto Rico.
Also 0. Say not a bad guess, Jake.
Send it back.
Send it back.
Trev.
Send it back, Trev.
Trev?
You gonna send it back to him?
Trev?
Not a
No,
bad guess,
no.
Jake.
No.
It's Cuba.
Oh, that's so
Disappointing for Trev.
That's so easy. That's
JP
ridiculous.
Martinez, Oscar Colas, Daysbel Hernandez, and Victor Medeiros. The Cuban debuts, 2 from Panama, 2 from Canada, 1 from Mexico, 1 from Colombia, 1 from Australia, 1 from Portugal. Born in. I don't know where he grew up. The other info that I thought was interesting was the AL West has debuted. No, they got beat out. The NL Central has debuted the most players. The Reds leading with a whopping 14. The Pirates with 12. 3 teams have debuted 11, the Giants, the Mariners, and the A's. The NL Central and the NL East and the AL Central have the least. The AL East just had the least, but they debuted 2 yesterday, the Yankees and Red Sox. So that's some debut information. Team to debut the least? Twins, only 3, and 2 of them Canadian.
Yikes.
And the Phillies, only 3. Twins and Phillies. No newcomers here. Oh, Noah Song's back on the Red Sox.
Oh, no.
The Phillies did not keep him the whole year. He's back on the Red Sox. They have a plan to ramp him up and get him in the throwing program. Congrats to Noah Song. Thank you guys very much for listening. See you later. Go baseball.
Shout out Trey Turner, walk off.
That was awesome. See that, Jim?
Cheer for your players, you know?
Bobby Witt Jr. is my guy.
Jake sucks.
Breaking shortstop records, Bobby Witt Jr.
It's Geloff, like sell-off, but Geloff. I keep emphasizing the off, but you emphasize the Gel.
Getting Trey
On the
Turner.
pronunciation guy, Gell is all caps.
Line drive off Doval. Goes off Doval's glove. Tips past Tyro. Tyro almost dives and gets it the other way. Game over.